All right, good afternoon to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade, and guess what? It's that time of the year. We are tracking the tropics and tracking things very closely because we know that so far, both of the major forecasts that have come out from NOAA and from CSU have called for a very busy potential hurricane season. Of course, this is day 3 of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. And even though things are quiet now, like I said, we've got 2 forecasts that call for major action potentially in the Atlantic basin, including the Atlantic, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean. So we've got lots to talk about. Of course, we will be here daily updating you on exactly what is happening out there in the tropics. If we have any tropical troubles brewing, of course, you will be the first to know. All right, let's check out our forecast for this hurricane season because it's kind of concerning. Normally we'd have about 14 named storms, out of those 7 becoming hurricanes and 3 becoming major hurricanes of category 3 or greater. However, the NOAA forecasters are calling for anywhere from 17 to 25 named storms, out of those 8 to 13 becoming hurricanes and 4 to 7 becoming major hurricanes. So that is definitely above the norm and something that we are rather concerned about. Also, Colorado State University forecasters put out their official forecast for the hurricane season earlier this year. It is not much different. They don't give a range, but they are calling for around 23 named storms, which is several above average. Out of those, 11 becoming hurricanes, and out of those, 5 becoming major hurricanes. As I just mentioned, normally we'd have around 3 major hurricanes per season on average. So a very busy, very active season potentially, of course. Once these systems develop, if they get strong enough, they get a name, and this is the official list that we will be using for those names for the Atlantic storms, at least for this season. So we'll be starting with Alberto. If we start to get some action out there, then we will move to Beryl, Chris, Debbie, all the way down to Tony, Valerie, and William. Even if we get more storms than names, we already have a secondary list of names that would be used, and that is provided by the World Meteorological Organization. So what's happening out there right now? Here's the good news. On day 3 of this 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, no tropical activity is expected for the next 7 days. It's quiet now, and the models are indicating that it should remain quiet for at least the next week or so. However, there are certain regions or certain areas, really month by month, that we monitor a little bit more closely to try to see if we can get something going. And usually for the month of June, things are pretty quiet. The chance for tropical cyclone development very low. However, we do take a closer look at the eastern Gulf of Mexico, where we could have some of those systems developing, a slightly higher chance of that happening for the month of June. So of course, nothing happening now, but we are calling for an above average busy hurricane season, basically due to 2 factors. We've got very warm waters out there in the Gulf of Mexico and in the Atlantic. Water temps in the Gulf for many spots in the 80s. That is unusually warm this early in the season. We've also got a switch from the El Nino phase to the La Nina phase that is expected to continue to happen and occur as we go through our hurricane season. So that La Nina should be stronger towards the middle and end of the hurricane season, and that usually transitions into less wind shear and more tropical activity. So that basically means as these tropical systems develop and build vertically, with less wind shear, they're able to survive longer. When you have more wind shear, that allows that wind to kind of tear the tops off of some of these tropical systems, and then they kind of start to collapse and fall apart. So we're not expecting that to happen quite as much this season, so things could get a little crazy. But the last 2 seasons for Houston, we've been spared. We haven't had any tropical depressions, tropical storms, or hurricane. So we have been very fortunate, but we all know that could quickly change. It only takes one. So just make sure that you're using this quiet time where we don't have any systems heading our way to make sure that you are prepared. Typically, we have our peak of hurricane season right around September 10th. Usually things start getting fairly busy in August. Busiest month usually around September, and then October still fairly busy. Then we really start to see that action in the tropics kind of fall off for November. Of course, hurricane season began on June 1st and it runs all the way through the end of November. That would be November 30th. So nothing happening out there in the tropics for us, thank goodness. Of course, we'll continue to monitor things daily and keep you posted.